Let me just fire off the invite. And Bobby will come and we'll be ready to roll. Okay. Just text him just to confirm. All right, you'll see what I got up on the page right here. Brand new. Got my LOL sheets put up there. Figured why not? May as well put them up there. But let me get my baseball up for the night on for DraftKings. Let me see. It'll be DraftKings. Okay. And I might as well get my stacks up as well. And then we'll just fire it up and we're ready to go. Okay. I also, just so you guys know, yeah, Bobby will be here in a second. The other thing I did is I put up, Bobby and I did a quick NBA Showdown slate, so I figured I may as well run projections for that, and just kind of get used to putting that stuff up there. So I did end up playing some NBA Showdown. What I did was, again, I did do a projection run just to get used to doing them, and I've screwed around a little bit, played a couple of kooky lineups, but mostly pretty solid, and we'll see how we do. What's up, Bobby?
What's up? What's up, everybody? What's up, Kevin? What's up, K9 Bronco? You were talking a little NBA?
Well, I was just telling everybody that I actually put Showdown sheets up on the site.
Nice.
Yeah.
Guys, if I'm not going to let Sheets do it himself again, I'm going to just tell everybody, if you're not looking at these sheets, if you're not checking it out, you're missing out. Really check them out while they're still free, because
well, more to the point, I'm gonna start really just trying to explain a little more what all this means and how to use it as well as we go forward. With respect to may as well just summarize baseball for a minute. What I'm right now. I mean, I guess this is the chalk too. I guess right now I'm on Cole and Gomber as my main kind of hand-built pitching pair. What do you think about that? What do you think about good pivots off of that? Where are you with pitching?
Yeah, so I think that because the slate is kind of got hitters all over the place, I'm doing a few different things. I am playing Cole and Gomber in my biggest buy-in lineup. I'm pretty sure that my stack is going to be clear enough to not worry about ownership too much. But I do like so I have 40% Cole on DraftKings, 100% on FanDuel, 40% Gomber on DraftKings, maybe a little like closer to 45 on Gomber. I have 20% Casey Mize. I have 25% Taijuan Walker, 15% Lance Lynn, which I wasn't going to play at all, but it was too easy to get him in. I have 15% Patrick Corbin, 20% McClanahan. So I'm spreading it out with some guys who I think have some upside who aren't getting looked at too much. And those would be Corbin, Mize, McClanahan off the board, and Walker. Those are the ones I'm mixing in.
So Kevin's coming in with the Phillies looking like a rainout. Is that
so now with the weather, I'll get a weather update. Give me a minute, and I'll do that right now.
Okay.
And that's a huge, huge thing because that's one of the games I really like.
Just again, as a matter of transparency, just so you guys know what I'm doing. So it's important to know what I'm doing so that you know kind of what frame I'm coming from, So I'm playing I'm actually right now only playing one lineup on DraftKings. I'm playing it in a couple of different contests, and likewise on FanDuel as well. I mean, and it's for no other reason. I'm kind of confident with what I want to do. So I am going to be talking about stuff that I'm probably not playing, that you guys probably should play if you are not just kind of honed in on kind of one lineup, if that makes any sense.
That makes sense.
On FanDuel, my one lineup has Cole as the pitcher, which should come as no surprise. And my main hitters, so you said your stack should be pretty clear. I'm not so sure about that.
No, I didn't say that. I said the opposite. I said my stack should be clear of getting ownership.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So my favorite on DraftKings is Milwaukee. That's where my favorite would be. The other thing I would mention about DraftKings is that even though he's not like 2K like he was before, AJ Pollock remains really cheap.
Yep.
And the other thing I would mention is that, well, for me, I mean, I needed kind of a one-off at shortstop, and I liked I went for Lindor in that game.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the chalk, and I think that game has some mild risk. The Philly game does have some serious risk, so I'm going to definitely be lessening my ownership on that as we go, because I really like that game.
On FanDuel, I have I have like a, not a 4x4, but pretty damn close. I have like a 4x3. I have this is like not anything earth shattering either, but I also have Houston, Altuve, Bregman, just the usual dudes against the hard throwing Eovaldi. So like I said, I mean, I kind of liked where I wanted to go, so I didn't want to spread out all that much. And that goes to the point of what's his name yesterday, who was saying, how do you decide what to do? Like if I were really, really spread out, I would play more lineups. That's just not where I am tonight. But with that said, let me give you again the way I would play DraftKings if I were playing like more lineups. So I would get to some Lance Lynn as a pivot off of Cole. I would get to Patrick.
You're not saving much ownership, by the way, just to anyone who's doing that. You're really not.
Yeah, I have him at 25%, Lynn.
Yeah, and Cole, what, 40, 35?
Yeah.
So it's not a significant savings. I just wanted to point that out.
Right. I do think that Corbin is a good low-owned play. I think that Griffin Canning is a good low-owned play. Lower, right, owned play. And I can get behind some of the McClanahan, actually, even though he looks to be kind of expensive, I suppose. So if I were playing more lineups, I would get down to those guys. I mean, almost for sure. But I'm just not. What do you think of those pitchers? Did you like any Canning or?
So Canning, I think that, I mean, look, you have a guy who's pitching to contact against a team. The Royals are struck out the third fewest times in baseball, which I point out on so many shows, and everybody sees the Royals and for some reason wants to pitch guys against them. I'm just telling you, the team doesn't strike out that much. But I get the Canning play. I just would rather take the lower ownership and play the better pitcher in Taijuan Walker.
Oh, okay. I didn't even think about the Taijuan Walker.
So Taijuan Walker, I'm a little worried about the potential delay in that game. So that's the only thing keeping me off of going a little harder on Walker. But I'm willing to take some chances elsewhere. I like you. I like Milwaukee and Cincinnati. Well, I like both of the sides of that one. But I don't know that I want to make it my primary stack on. Yeah. It's just a bad offense. It's a good hitter's park. It's just weird to make a bad offense your primary stack.
That's fair enough.
But that's for me. But
yeah.
But I get it. It's a good spot against a young guy who pitches to contact in a stadium that shouldn't hold contact in very well. And you've got a bunch of guys who strike out, and when they don't strike out, there's power, especially with guys like Vogelbach and even Yelich, who didn't used to ever strike out, now does. So I do like that sort of strategy. I just don't think that I'm not going overboard with it.
Let me just fire off some other teams that I would play if I'm playing more lineups. So, I don't know if you need to do this, but I do have Detroit ranked pretty nicely with respect to their price. Houston, I already mentioned. This is DraftKings. I thought Seattle was pretty good. You know, I know that Mize is going to rate to be okay, but he again, I had him against Seattle in a spot like this where he did really, he did nicely, but he was not always right around the plate. And the thing is, Seattle's not really that patient. That's the problem with that. But I think Seattle could be a good play. I'm not as much on the Yankees as I was earlier. I mean, when I spoke to you earlier today, Bobby, I said, what's wrong with the Yankees? I still think they're okay, but no big thing. And the next team I would say is the team you just mentioned would be Cincinnati. So yeah, those would be my next guys. Like, what would you say your highest owned stack is, or highest owned? Sometimes you don't play five mans all the time. So what's your highest owned teams in general?
So my highest owned teams are. The problem is the Phillies are one of them. So I need to figure this part out. At some point during the show. But I like the Mets, and I think that it's weird to pay these prices for the Mets. Obviously, it does like you end up just sort of playing Lindor and then piecing in some other guys like Billy McKinney. I have less of Dom Smith, some Pete Alonso, but I think the Red Sox Astros game is probably my favorite game to try to attack, and the pitchers are not like, they're not. I don't want to say they're not bad. They get hit hard now. They're not the same guys they were before, and I really like the idea of playing the Boston against Odorizzi and Houston against Eovaldi. I think there's plenty of upside there. And just to give away like some of the hitter information we have, the best hitters umpires are in Detroit actually, which is partly why I don't have more Mize, because I was thinking about early in the day just going.
Okay.
But I still am playing Mize, you know what I mean? I'm not going to avoid it at 6,800. And by the way, the guy's only walked one guy out of his last, I think, 60 batters or something.
Really?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Some maybe even more than that, actually, because he hasn't walked anybody in 3 games. He walked one guy in the last 3 starts. And then the other start, he had pitched, I think, his last 4 innings clean. I think this would be a great spot to really to play Taijuan Walker, to be honest, if we know the rain's going to hold up. The thing that's throwing me off is like his K prop is non-existent. I don't know what happened, but just because if this game was in the National League, I feel like you'd see a run and a half. If it was at Shea Stadium, you'd see like a run and a half lower projection, I believe, on Baltimore. And I don't know. I don't know where I am on that whole thing. But I guess favorite stack stands for the original thing. I like the Dodgers. But my favorites would be the Boston-Houston game. I do like the Cincinnati-Milwaukee, both sides of it, especially the Milwaukee side on DraftKings, Cincinnati on FanDuel, which is weird because the prices are different, but the ownership will also reflect it. You do have an extreme pitchers umpire for Canning, so maybe it's worth, by the way, getting a little bit of Canning in. I didn't want to play him at all here, but I sort of am starting to see the pivot off of all my Taijuan Walker.
Okay.
But anyway, but yeah, stacks Boston my favorite, along with the Houston in this stadium. It just like these guys all just absolutely rake when they go to Boston. You could say, oh, well, what does that matter? And all that. It's a great hitter's park. Let's just chalk it up to that. You know what I mean? A huge hitters jump for them from their park to here. So that's what's got me on them. In addition to the Eovaldi, giving up enough hard contact. But I really like the Phillies, and I'm sort of sorry not to be doing more of that. I think I'm going to convert a little bit of those over to the Dodgers because a lot of them are combo stacked with the stacks I already mentioned. And then the long shot stack or the low owned stack that I expect nobody to own, and maybe I'm wrong about it. Let me just double check, is the White Sox.
Ooh, okay.
If we're going to talk about these young guys, being boom or bust, let's take the other side of these guys. You know what I mean? You've got a powerful offense. They're expensive. But this is a much better offense than the Mets offense is. And, Harvey plus bullpen game doesn't necessarily mean like, it's not like Harvey's been roughed up except for his last 2 starts. He's actually been overall this season decent. I'm just kind of into that sort of move. I still think even with the crazy prices, you're going to see so much ownership on the Mets that I want to get some different exposures. And Atlanta mini stacks, KC mini stacks, I think make a lot of sense against Canning. And the one that also, other one that I thought would be really popular early on, but may not be by the end of the day, is the Angels against Keller. Maybe more of a mini stack for me, but I do like them, specifically Rendon, Ohtani, Upton. Those would be my three main guys. And then Dozier, Soler from the KC side of that game. But we don't have too many extreme umps on the thing, so that's why I did want to point out those. Just the most extreme hitters is that game, the Detroit game, and the most extreme. Also in St. Louis, there's also an extreme hitters umpire, and the extreme pitchers umpire is for Griffin Canning. So if you do want to justify the Griffin Canning, that's a good way to do it. So I can tell, I totally get it. I actually am more on board with it, with the Walker. We're worried about Walker and the game being delayed potentially, with the fact that Canning won't be that high owned, and the fact that he's got a good pitcher's umpire, and that seems to matter more for him than it does for a lot of other guys. So I just don't love it. I mean, I think you're just playing a little bit with fire, but 10, 15% of it. I'm going to take a look and see if you guys are dropping any questions as we go. Home run call of the day. I'm not going to steal things from other shows, but I will tell you the guys who I think are most likely to hit home runs today. I still like Pete Alonso, by the way, a lot. So, but JD Martinez, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge. I know I'm not stacking the Yankees much, but I like those guys a lot. Mookie. Who else we got in my things? Rendon, Moncada. These are my favorite home run bets. I'm not going to just say play one guy and he's going to hit a home run. Anybody who does that and is right is an idiot, and anyone who does it who's wrong is an idiot. It's just really silly to say a prediction, fine, a fun thing, fine. But if you really expect a home run from anybody ever, you're wrong. You're just making a huge mistake. I always try to say that when we were to do the Roto Grinders shows. They wanted a guarantee home run and all this stuff, and everybody gives them away, and they only remember the 1 out of 15 times when it hits. All the people, but I'm not doing that. One weird guy who I am playing some of, I'm playing some Kirilloff against Garrett Cole, where I'm not playing Garrett Cole. I don't mind if you want to take a Twins bat or two against this guy. Like, I mean, he just gives up tons of home runs. It's so funny. People are always afraid to take, when Justin Verlander a couple years ago, he was giving up like a home run and a half per game, but he was only giving up like 2.5 hits per game, like on average for the season, for 7 innings or whatever he was averaging. And he won the Cy Young. But these guys, you can give up home. The good pitchers have realized, in order to be a great pitcher these days, you kind of have to be willing to get hit hard. And I love doing that. It's not necessarily usually on smaller slates, but I think on this slate, playing Taylor Larnach at 2K is an interesting way to go. And I think a really interesting value. This kid's got just an immense amount of talent. And if Cole makes a mistake, he's a guy who can make him pay. He's been hitting the ball really hard, really well lately. 3 home runs over his last 10, but more importantly, he's actually just hitting the ball hard. So I like the Taylor Larnach as a minimum cost, and then I also like Kirilloff as a potential home run against him.
I'll fire off a couple of cheaper one-offs that maybe we didn't go over. I would only play Gardner as part of a stack, but he's only 2K. Jackie Bradley, only 2,600. Talked about him as part of Milwaukee stack. Manuel Margot, 2,900 for Tampa.
Yeah, that's a good call.
We mentioned AJ Pollock already, and then after that, it's like, I mean, I think that these Houston guys are all, I think they're good plays. I think Bradley and Alvarez at only 4K. I mean, these guys are really, what's his name? Valvaldi could bring heat, but he brings a lot of high heat right into people's wheelhouse sometimes.
Yep.
I think those are all very, very good plays. You like your Dodger pitcher? Like what's going on with Gonsolin? He's not going to pitch.
Oh, he just came back. I don't think they're going to give him the. And if everything breaks his way, and it could against a team like Pittsburgh, but if anything, I actually would take like a guy like Colin Moran or Brian Reynolds against him. I'm not using any of them personally today. His price. If he was like 6,100 or something, fine, but he's not cheap. So I'm off of him a little bit.
Let me look at FanDuel real quick. See if there's anything. Hold on a minute. Yeah. So I have to say that I didn't do it, but if you needed and wanted to pay up for hitting, I mean, you could play Canning over there at only
Um,
7,300. No.
yeah, you could absolutely. I'm not doing it. I'm
Yeah.
just taking points with Cole. I mean, look, if it doesn't work out, he has a bad game against Minnesota. Fine, doesn't bother me at all. I just would rather just play. It's just there's no real. I don't really need any discount. I would be trying to just get different, but you don't need to get different there. I don't think.
Okay.
That's my personal take.
Well, my point is, I would rather play, for example, like if I were going to get different, if I wasn't going to play Cole, like for me, it wouldn't be to play Lance Lynn. You know what I mean on FanDuel. I would rather just do something different. You know what I mean? I'd rather just like hope Cannon gets 5 or 6 innings and and whatever. But as you were saying, I mean, I don't know exactly what I'm gaining in the hitting by doing that.
Exactly.
I'm getting most of the hitting that I need, even with playing Cole. So
Right.
it doesn't really gain all that much.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, by the way, I do have one guy who I think is going to hit a home run today. Though, if I had to pick one guy, not one or one weird off the board guy, and it's Grandal.
Ooh, that's really interesting that you said that.
The pitch type matches up perfectly for him. Even though it's a good pitcher, like it's a good young pitcher. Again, we'll see what happens. These guys are going to have awesome starts, and they're going to get lit up other starts. But I really like him. So, hey guys, dropping any questions, NBA or MLB, we'll be happy to answer. And yeah,
That's really interesting that you just came out with that, because my big lineup, I was actually considering that instead of the way I went.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot whether this was the handedness that I could play him or not, because I know you usually remind me of which one.
Yeah, it's against the righties you can play him, but even the pitch type, I did a little research on this one today, and the pitch type matches up pretty well for him. Like him a lot. I mean, if you guys look at these Houston hitters' numbers against in Boston specifically over their career, it's actually shocking. I can't even believe some of these numbers. Like, you would think it was like a team playing a little league team or something. Wow, right. They are loaded. But yeah, I'm going to try and – so I have Mazara as one of my favorite values at 2,300. I think Taylor Larnach, where I'm not playing Garrett Cole, is actually probably a better play, or if I'm not stacking Detroit. I do have one Detroit stack. And I think the total cost was $5 for all the players.
Really?
No, I'm just kidding. You know what I mean? I don't think anybody was above 2.6, 2.5. And I stacked I know I have Goodrum in there at 3K. He's the one real expensive spend up for Detroit. You could stack them and stack the most expensive team and play Lynn and Cole, and you're fine.
I wonder if there's a really good second baseman at 4,600 on DraftKings.
So at 4,600 on DraftKings, your option Chris Taylor would be the guy I would look to. I also think Tommy Edman is a strong play. It's interesting that game is sort of almost like out of my memory today. Like I'm just not really thinking about it much. Got an extreme hitters umpire, pretty good hitting weather, very questionable arms that can get hit on the mound. It's kind of interesting. I haven't really thought about using much of it. I think it's not a bad way to go.
So it doesn't really usually go this way in baseball, but let me give you a 2x2. Ready? So Grandal and Chris Taylor, right? Or Narvaez and Altuve.
Narvaez and Altuve is the chalkier answer.
Right.
Grandal and Taylor is kind of a sweet play because I don't think people are going to go there much. And I've always been the biggest, look, what are we doing with Chris Taylor playing when we had, back when Verdugo was on the team and Kiki Hernandez? Chris Taylor has become a good hitter. He takes a home run swing. He's on pace to hit 30 home runs this year, roughly almost 30 home runs. So it's not like he's like a nothing there. He can steal an occasional base. Probably not going to do it against Anderson, but just throwing it out there. He's pretty good. He's a pretty strong play, and that would definitely be the lower owned way to go, which in baseball.
So Adam, if you're out there, or a couple of people that maybe been paying attention to this, the import of this whole discussion is this. So I'm playing like that. I was going to play that one lineup in different contests, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Taylor Grandal variation in the one with more entries. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I'm going to need a little more ownership fade in something like that. So that's the way you handle that. So I'm playing both 2x2s, but the chalkier one I'm going to play in the with the fewer number of entries.
I completely agree with that. That's exactly what I'd be doing. 100% on the same page. Let's see this.
Who else do we have here? Do you like Odor or not really?
I do, but I didn't. You know what's weird is I somehow I don't know. I'm not getting to him, and it's not like I love second base, but they sort of fit in with all of my stacks. So
Okay.
why the answer of why I don't have more Odor, because as an individual play, I do like him today, but I'm not getting to as much of him mainly because I'm using that second base spot for a lot of my stacks, and I like Altuve and I like Chris Taylor, so it's a little bit. But again, it's a position at the beginning of the day I thought was the worst, and now I ended up not using the guy who I thought I was going to have as the chalk for a lot of the day.
You know, we'll talk a little NBA too, but I feel remiss if I didn't comment on this. I don't know if you went over this at all when I wasn't around, but we want to shout out to Bobby. We talked about this all the way back at the beginning, and we both agreed on this. And Bobby actually pulled the trigger that Mr. Jokic with the MVP ship it to Santa Barbara. That's it.
Get this, sheets. I got my preseason bets done. I still have 4 live bets. I made 4 bets on teams to win the title, and they're all still around. None of them are probably going to win the title because that Brooklyn team looks like they're going to be really tough. Although I'll go on a limb and say that Milwaukee wins at least the next game, if not the next 2. I think they're going to make some huge adjustments, but it was a great, I think I made almost 5 times on my money for my preseason bets, and that's without Bradley Beal winning the scoring title, which was my favorite bet all season long. So very, very happy it turned out well in the NBA season for me.
Let me ask you this: who's better than Steve Nash?
I think he's awesome. And by the way, if you watch that team play basketball, it looks like Steve Nash is on the court. They play with an unselfishness. I mean, partly it's because they're so elite talent-wise, but it's not entirely that, because even when they have one of these guys out, they make Bruce Brown into like a freaking superstar role player. They've made, Joe Harris, obviously, just the whole team plays this beautiful brand of basketball.
Well, I mean, it's no accident. You see who's sitting there right on the bench is Nash's guru in D'Antoni.
Absolutely. I mean, this guy was 100% one of the best ever.
And when what's his name? And when I'm telling you, when I was coaching more, D'Antoni would do some presentation and stuff, and he's like, "Well, this is what you do. You got to do this." And of course, it helps to have a point guard like Steve Nash to do this.
Right. But one other thing I wanted to throw out there for everybody, what was the thing I saw that never mind. I'll skip. I'll come back to that. I'm just trying to figure out my Philly stacks here and what I really want to do with this. I don't love them to the point where I feel like I need to absolutely play them here. So I guess I'm just going to end up. So the Freddie Freeman one-off question is a great one. I love Freddie Freeman today. I think he's a terrific play. I think in terms of home runs, I should have mentioned him. And I love his price on FanDuel, but I don't think you can play him as a one-off with the way the weather is in that game. I think if you're playing him, you better be stacking the Phillies on the other side of it, because otherwise you're taking one player who may not get any points. When if you're going to do that, you want to do it, just go gamble all the way. You know what I mean? Go all or nothing on these situations if it's weather. You never want to have a one-off in a game that's got a reasonable chance of getting postponed.
I don't want to have anybody in a game that's going to get postponed.
Fair enough. that's probably even better advice. All right.
See, guys, by the way, since we're here live, we'll do for those of you that weren't there, we did a video pretty quickly on the golf. And if you missed it, you watch the video for our things and again, these projections are up there. Also, I'm actually just going to be putting in a live bet, not a live bet, an outright bet. It's kind of just double checking the odds here. And
you bet none.
I think you're gonna like it. I think we're gonna do this. We are betting. Boy, Bobby is gonna be rooting We are betting at 46-1. Size matters.
Patton Kizzire, let's go.
Yep, that's it.
Oh,
That's it.
that's, by the way, pretty incredible odds for this tournament. I know that there's the top, but if you look at everybody else, it's not
it's a weak field aside from the guys who might not actually be trying.
Right. The guys who are trying to fine tune their game. I'll take that all day.
Exactly. They're working on their swing.
Love it.
Preparation for the U.S. Open. So
I love that.
So we got a one. And I've been, you know what? I'm slowly but surely reducing my bet sizes. You want to know why?
What's that?
Because Bitcoin's been cut in half.
Seriously, I know it's one of the.
Dude, that's why I'm so good. Is that when I hit on my Matt Jones and my Rush DeChambeau, it was when Bitcoin was at the top. That's how good I am.
That's amazing. That's like well timed.
That's it.
All right.
So Patton Kizzire is booked.
I love it.
Yeah.
So a couple of other questions that were in there. That was the Freeman one. Acuna or Freeman. Oh, if you're going to decide between Acuna or Freeman, I know Eflin's better against righties, but if there's ever a player and you have the same amount of money for both,
just play Acuna.
Acuna is the best player in baseball for DFS. He's probably the best real life hitter in baseball. At me, Mike Trout people. Mike Trout's not playing right now. It's like a big argument I got into with another friend of ours yesterday. Wow, Kevin Durant. How do people not say he's the best player in basketball? I'm like, there's an argument with 10 other guys, and he's played 30 games in the last 3 years. You know what I mean? There's your answer. You can't be the best if you're not playing. I like Houston. I really like the Houston lefties, and I like Bregman and Altuve to go with it. That's my That's my way of stacking Houston today for the most part.
I have a question. Like, is there a really good third baseman you like at 3,100?
The Dodger game is delayed, by the way. I don't think should change anything, but we'll double check. Sorry, Cheech, what was the question again?
Is there a really good third baseman you like at 3,100?
A really good third baseman.
If not, no.
So really good is a strong word, but I like Brousseau ahead of Diaz. That's the way I would put it. He's got more power. He's more likely to get pinch hit for, but you want to play for the upside of the home run. And they're the two guys.
So what I have this like, for example, this 5-man Milwaukee stack, and I like to kind of pare that down a little bit. So I'm looking at, that's why one of the things I did was I took Narvaez out and replaced it with Grandal in that one lineup, right? And so I'm just looking for, somebody to replace Travis Shaw maybe, to not really turn it into a 5-man. Who's the third baseman for the Dodgers? Oh no, he's expensive, right?
Turner, yeah.
Only because I have Pollock, so that would make sense.
Yeah.
But if I got rid of Altuve, I could probably afford all this. So let me just see what I did. So if I went to where are the Dodgers? Are they still in Pittsburgh?
The Dodgers are playing in Pittsburgh, yeah.
I'm here.
I'm a little worried about. I just want to see what we get updated wise on that weather. Because I did think that it was going to be the eye test less trouble. I'm not going to see. All right, I'm getting a little bit concerned about the Dodgers now too.
Why? What does it say?
It just looks pretty bad, and the delay might actually. Wait, hold on. All forecast models. There's no worries. This is the eye test. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Roth has got it. He went from yellow-orange to yellow. It seems like after the late start, but he thinks the late start's hurting the game. So I'm gonna give them some credit on that and try and lessen my Dodger ownership a little bit, along with my Philly, which is gonna take me back to Boston, Houston, the Mets, Cincinnati, and Milwaukee.
Ooh, so what do I do with this AJ Pollock then?
Yeah, the Pollock one-off and stuff is not happening for me in these. I just don't like to mess with it, but it sucks. It's an unfortunate situation.
Well, I mean, let me just see what it says here. No, hold on. MLB weather. I'm worried about the eye. Doesn't get rid of it. This looks like trouble. Fade it. So,
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Well, let me think about it this way. What is an alternative to AJ Pollock at 3,100 that I don't have to do anything else? Let me just see something. I'm sure there's plenty of stuff that I could do at 3,100 in the outfield, right?
Yeah, Stewart is somebody who I considered. I like the lower tier or the upper, like at like 36, 37. I like a lot of guys. The 31, I don't have as many guys today as I usually do.
Right. Let me just see what I have here. Yeah, the closest I have is actually, this isn't bad, Manuel Margot.
Yeah, 2,900, perfect.
That's not terrible.
I don't have any of him.
Yeah, but that's not.
I feel like maybe it's a stubborn thing on my part. I really do. Like, I just think that I've gotten used to the fact that he doesn't have power, but then he kind of has had like sneaky power over the last couple of years. And
he's leading off at 2,900. I mean,
yeah, you're fine with him. I mean, he's completely in.
Right.
He didn't have my Larnach ownership though. I'm actually I'm into this play. This is the guy I'm just going to keep riding until something happens.
What's his price?
2,000. He's batting third for Minnesota.
Oh, he's against Cole, right?
Yeah,
okay.
It's exactly what I want. I mean, Cole. Look at it. Like, you can walk into some home runs against Cole. I mean, he's been actually better this year, but he's still given up 6 home runs over his last 5 starts. Like, and he's got a 2.2 ERA. So if anybody makes contact, like, you're pretty much the way you score on him is hitting a home run. It's one of the rare times on a regular slate I could actually. I don't think it'd be like the worst thing in the world to play Larnach and Cole together. But I'm not doing it. I'm just throwing it out there.
Oh, then Grandal. Oh, this is what we're doing. Okay. I like this better. I'll put this here and here and here. Okay.
So I'm getting rid of some of my Dodgers now. This is really annoying.
Yeah, what I did, by the way, is in addition to that, just replacing Margot with Pollock and Margot, I did another thing where I played Jackie Bradley Jr. as the 5th part of the Milwaukee stack, and then I was able to get from Narvaez to Grandal over there. So that's another way to do it.
Tyler Stevenson, by the way, batting cleanup is a really good catching option that I'm using as just like he's in my main lineup, even though I'm not stacking Cincinnati in my main lineup on FanDuel.
Okay.
Really good price.
Let's talk about. You want to talk for a few minutes about the about NBA showdowns? I might as well just tell who I have. I mean,
yeah, we have it's all different now for me because of what happened. We didn't know what's his name was going to play.
Who?
Whoa.
Who?
What's going on outside the window? Will Barton is going to play.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Thought they were going to wait till they went back to Denver to give him a little more time, but I guess losing game 1, they sort of wanted to mix things.
So how does that impact?
It affects Morris, who I liked earlier.
Does it really affect Michael Porter Jr. that much?
I mean, the thing is, Michael Porter Jr. has been affected as it is lately anyway. He hasn't been, and he's technically questionable tonight. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't want to read the tea leaves. We've got plenty of time. We're not going to need to guess on this one, but Michael Porter Jr. is going to play. I would bet almost anything on it, but it is weird that he's missed the end of the other games.
Yeah. They could rule him out. I don't know.
It's possible. I don't think so. I just don't think they're – I don't know. At some point, they got to say, what are we doing here?
Yeah. When did the news on Barton come out?
About an hour ago, maybe. Maybe a bit more. Maybe a little bit longer ago.
Okay, let me just see something. Do you like Barton today?
No, I don't know what to expect of him. I mean, I think some people are going to play him, so I'm not really that into him personally.
Okay.
By the way, Jeffers for Minnesota, also 2,400 against Cole, is another guy you could take a shot on. Don't like as much as Larnick, but I'm just saying another cheap catcher option. Let's see this real quick. Baez and Urias and India actually. Sorry, guys. If I didn't have to change these lineups, I could just sit here and hang out with you, but I think I do need to change them, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm going to change some NBA stuff real quick, and then I'm doing one more little adjustment in the NBA because of the Porter thing. May as well just make sure I do it right.
I'm getting my NBA stuff later. But, guys, pop in any questions. I'll jump in the chat in a second and just see what we got going.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just
I'm switching over to some Angel stacks now, too.
Some Angel stacks?
Yeah, I just think that, you know,
something to do.
No, I think that they're interesting anyway. I like two guys, but I mean, you could easily. I actually like three guys, but then I also added. I forgot to mention first baseman Jared Walsh before. I like him as well. So Brad Keller's a guy that, you know, has been good at limiting damage for the most part this year, but some of it seems kind of fluky to me. So I'm willing to just completely bet on that. Okay, this lineup has got Philly one-ups, Atlanta one-ups, and Dodger one-ups, which I guess almost turns it into enough of a stack to where I could play it. That's not going to work.
Final.
There will be a day where I go, why didn't we play the Yankees? Maybe this is the day, but the truth is there's been so many spots like this. They're the worst team in baseball with runners on base, which is kind of crazy.
Is that true?
Yeah, the very worst. But they had enough home runs to where they're not the very worst team in baseball.
Dude, it's all good. They have Brett Gardner. So
Brett Gardner, the masher.
The masher. The lefty, the righty masher.
I'm getting a mini stack of them in because Stanton's they're cheap.
Well, they only let Manaea go 6 innings.
I didn't even see what was happening in today's. Anything interesting?
No, not really.
My 1% guy didn't hit a home run?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I think I would have probably.
I know that Fernando Tatis has like 0 fantasy points in his last 5 games. Darvish is going to get the loss. I don't know if he's going to get the loss, but his team is losing. Yeah, he's pitched 7 innings. He's given up 3 runs. Look at that. 2 runs.
That was what I said in my video, to make sure to play the Cubs.
Cubs revenge.
There you go. Cubs revenge. It is.
You got Mets revenge too today. But I think they tried that before and they didn't do so well.
I might leave in my Philly stack over here, but they've got too many of these guys. I end up with 32%. That's crazy.
All right, let me see. If there's any more questions, I might just skedaddle here. Thanks, guys. Your baseball stuff. Good luck. Sounds like they will play. Dodgers Pirates delayed till 5 p.m. One guy says the tarp is coming out in Pittsburgh, so you don't think it will play. I looked at radar for the Phillies game. It looks scary. Okay. All right, guys. No, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna get going. And,
appreciate all this, guys. Before you leave. And no, I don't. I'm not playing Albert Pujols. It's always fine to consider it, but I'm not going to do it myself. He's going to turn into someone else later in the game, most likely. So I'm not doing it.
All right. Good luck, guys, and let's